Hello, welcome to part 14 of my custom edition map creation tutorial. In the previous part we kind of left off with this half finished attempt at attaching these two, this tiny structure to our large structure, our organic mesh. So let's tackle that now. Before we start, we just save this as file number 14. The computer is a little bit slow today, though I suppose it's probably something to do with recording my screen. Alright, so let's push that vert back. I think I'm going to have to use soft selection. A cool trick that I could use, I guess, would be if let's just get rid of all these excess verts first. To Control A, weld, connect those two, connect that as well, and connect that. What I can do here is use what's known as aligning to a specific axis. So I could align this to the x-axis. That would give me that kind of straight-ish kind of border cap there, or I could do it to the y, which wouldn't really help because this isn't really facing the y-axis, but it gives you an idea of what you could do, and it makes it slightly easier to snap everything here. So we'll snap that back. I mean, I could use soft selection, but I really can't be bothered. And I'm going to tone my specularity down to 32, and my glossiness. That's still pretty bright, so probably something to do with the actual color. I'm going to darken the color. There we go. It's much better. Alright, now that we've done that, what do we need to mess around with? So this is being very, very warpy and just generally horrible. So get rid of that. And I'm going to select and move by hitting Q. I'm going to delete that polygon and cap it again, just to get rid of that middle vertex there. And I'm going to push that forward slightly. I'm going to do the same here, like so. No, I'll push that down. I'll push this down too. Though I don't want it to create a steep kind of angle-ish feeling. I'll pull that back, push that back. This looks kind of harsh at the moment because it's not a smoothing group. So I think I'll leave that as it is. Alright, same thing here. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and align this first. Align it on the X. Kind of gets, yeah, really, really warped. Now, what I could actually do is use soft selection here. I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's use soft selection and pull that. Oops. Back some, like so. Oof, that's going be a little bit troublesome dealing with that really, really awkward angle there, but gonna have to get it done, I guess. I mean, there could be steps that we could have taken to avoid this kind of thing. Like if we earlier on in our cliff design, if we had, appropriated that this space here is where we're going to be attaching something, so we won't kind of modify it too much, give it too much of a curve, we'll kind of leave it flat just to make our lives easier. We could have done that, I guess. That's something to think about. It's always a good idea to, just as you're modeling or after you've modeled something, take a look at it and think, what could I have done different to help speed up whatever I was doing, or how could I have got this done with a much better result if it was possible. So thinking along those lines is always good, because it forces you to constantly, take a look at you yourself and how you approach a certain step, and it in a sense it leaves you open to different ideas. When I first started modeling, I find that I was using maybe one or two different techniques to do every single thing that I wanted to basically do. And that's fine. I mean, if you have one or two solid techniques which you absolutely know and have mastered, and it's no use learning like 13, 14, 50 different techniques which you are struggling to remember. But at the same time, you could run into a situation where those techniques which you know so well are pretty much just useless for the operation which you are wanting to fulfill. So I don't like to keep like too many techniques in my head, but I like to keep a few universal ones, if I can explain it that way. So something that is really useful and that can be applied to different kind of operations and different kind of situations and stuff like that. Alright, so move those verts around. I think I'll just snap these down and we'll weld everything to get rid of that horrible smoothing error. And that doesn't look so bad yet. So pull that back. It looks okay. That's not bad. And pull that down there. Lovely. And now I think I already did this in part 13. Awesome. So the only thing that's left to do would be actually, before we actually attach this and start welding, we need to get rid of the middle vertex that we have on this tunnel here, and we need to do on this one as well. So let's go out of our selection for this object by you can just hit the edit poly stack so it turns grey, and then select another object in your scene. Let's hit 1 to go into vertex mode. Snap that vert up. Can't remember if he snapped the other verts on the other side, up or down over there, but I'm going to snap these ones up. Alright, so Control A, weld everything. No, that's not welding. Why aren't you welding? That's better. And that's out of alignment for some reason. Oh, we have two verts there, that's why. Let's just weld everything in that object. And now we are free to right click, attach our structure, go, no, we're already in vertex mode. Hit 1, hit Control A, and weld. Lovely. what I'm going to do here is just kind of space these verts out a little. Just snap that onto there, and one of those two. And I kind of want to do the same here because I kind of had just a really obnoxious flat kind of face there, which I need to fix somehow. If I space it out like so, that might help. And then push this down, push that out. Okay, that'll do. Alright, now that we've attached everything, let's go ahead and mess around with our smoothing groups. And first way I'm going to go about this is to just use an auto smooth and see if that works. I'm going to hit Control A and I'm going to clear all my smoothing groups. And I'm going to auto smooth this at a value of 45 and see how that works out. Make sure you go out of your edge mode just to check what the smoothing is like. Alright, and it's awful. So clear all, set down to 25, auto smooth. So Control D to deselect. That's a bit better. It's okay. I think we are going to have to resmooth this though. The trick is finding a way. Yeah, okay. I'm going to hit Control A, clear all my smoothing groups, and I'm going to do a little bit of selecting here. So what we're going to do is select each of these individual structures, even though we have them attached to our landscape. So it's going to be a little complex to do that, but I'm going to go in at if I go in at my top view, I should get a pretty good grasp on everything here. So just drag a big selection box over there, hit P to go back into perspective, and okay, I'm going to turn ignore back facing on, select all those faces which we have there, be careful of that, and lovely, that's everything there. And uncheck ignore back facing, drag a selection box over here, and there, and there, and there. Do another one here in case we missed anything. And finally, bring back ignore back facing. Lovely. Okay. Uncheck ignore back facing, go to our top view, and we're just going to have to drag a big selection box over this structure. And then go ahead and refine that selection by alt clicking and taking out a few of those obvious bits which we don't want selected. And then in perspective mode we'll go in, do a little bit of refinement, just alt and clicking on these faces. And this ensures that we have all of our other faces which we don't want to be deselected still selected. And there we go, that wasn't so bad. Right, so I'm going to select those and set them to an auto smooth value of, let's try 20. Auto smooth. Let's try 35. It's okay, I guess. just realised that we haven't selected our aerial platforms. Probably a good idea to do that. Uncheck ignore back facing. No, we don't have it. Okay, so it's good for us. So drag a big selection box. Refine a few areas, just the obvious ones. Don't get too close to the structure itself. Just get rid of some of these obvious really big cliff faces. Okay, that's something that'll need fixing. That's pretty bad. And I can just hit 1 to go to vertex mode. Actually do that now. Let's just do that. While those two. Okay. Bring that face all the way there. Push that out. Push it up too, I guess. Push this up. Hit 2 to go to edge mode, get rid of that middle edge and connect it that way. That's much nicer. And just snap that to there. And weld that spot. Select those two verts and weld them. Alright, let's go back into polygon mode by hitting 4. Get rid of that selection, that and that. That. And those 2. And those 3. And lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's do the other side. Yeah, okay. Okay. Now is probably a good time to start smoothing, so just clear all smoothing groups of those, auto smooth them. Again, let's go out of edge faces and check this out. Remember, this isn't the final cleanup stage, this is just an attempt to smooth out some of the obvious portions which need smoothing. What you can actually do is with those polygons selected, go into visibility, hide unselected, and then you can pick and choose your smoothing groups yourself. So let's clear all our smoothing groups, and I'll show you how to do this manually. Okay, not exactly sure what's happened here. The interpolation of our edges is wrong. So just backspace that edge and I'm going to connect that point there to this point, like so. That's how it should be. You might want to ask yourself, do these parts need smoothing groups per se? I mean, we know that this part needs smoothing groups, but these aerial platforms look pretty decent without smoothing groups, I'd have to say. As opposed to this part, which looking rather weird. Get rid of that middle edge. Connect it from those two poles and see what that looks like. Now it just looks weird. I think the original way was best. So this one will need smoothing, so let's go into polygon mode. Play around with the smoothing groups again. This is really a trial and error basis kind of thing. manually. Okay, so go and select all these polygons on the side. Might be a little tricky knowing which ones to select since there are so many edges here. And you want to also watch out for selections which you didn't mean to make. Smooth that whole portion, the smoothing group of 1. And you know, it sometimes pays to do the smoothing yourself. It just looks tons and tons better than it did with the auto smooth turned on. I'm not really doing anything advanced here, just control clicking, so apologies if I go quiet. I've already explained this stuff in previous tutorials. Give that smoothing group of 1 as well. Oops, look. These portions. Smooth that, there we go, lovely jubbly. And going to do this portion. I'm going to give this a different smoothing group there because, as you can see, well, it doesn't really touch those faces, does it? So we can get away with giving this a smoothing group of 1 as well, giving these faces a smoothing group of 1 as well. Oh, hang on. Let's go out of edged faces mode. No, we're okay. Let's give this a smoothing group of 1 as well. Just smooth that over. Give these sort of segmented sections a smoothing group of 1. Since they're not touching with this point, then the smoothing groups won't intercede with each other. I'm not going to give that a smoothing group, but I'm going to give this a smoothing group. We can't give this a smoothing group of 1, because if we do, it's going to go all horrible. So we'll give this a smoothing group of 2, like so. This kind of needs a smoothing group, so because you're seeing those two differently shaded triangles, so whenever you see something like that, probably it needs a new smoothing group or its own smoothing group, however you want to say it. Okay, and oops, hang on. Smoothing group of 1. Always, when you're messing around with your smoothing groups, make sure to check them with and without edged faces mode turned on, because you can't always tell with edged faces how your smoothing groups are going to turn out. Smoothing group of 1 there as well. Oh, and yeah, it's okay. I'm getting away with a lot of smoothing groups with just one, using one smoothing group, the same smoothing group number, I mean. Yeah, I'm not going to add smoothing groups to everything here that needs smoothing groups. Unfortunately, I'll leave that to you. we can give smoothing groups 2. Give smoothing groups to this thing as well. Again, give me one smoothing group of 1. And I think that'll do for this portion. Oh, not forgetting this inside inserted palette thing. Not sure what to name it. Give that smoothing group of 1 on the inside though. Since we want that to be smooth too, I'll give this a different smoothing group. Give that 1, then it kind of goes awful. I'll give that smoothing group of 2. There we go. That looks more fitting. Alright, moving on to this section. Don't really need any smoothing groups here, do we? It's just this tunnel section. So we'll make sure that we have ignore back facing turned off. Turned on, sorry. Using a combination of Alt X and X-ray mode, sorry, and edge faces just to get a portion, get the camera in an angle where I can not in the view of any other faces. Then I'm free to just drag a selection box over them without having to neatly select polygon by polygon by polygon. I can just do a quick selection box provided I'm not selecting anything over there or over there. So I said before in a previous tutorial that these two portions, the upper and the lower, should be on a separate smoothing group. Now I'm going to try it with 1. And that looks really smooth, but yeah, it doesn't really fit, so I'll deselect the top portion and give that tunnel bit smoothing group of 1. Actually, sorry, just deselect the tunnel, the walls, leave the ceiling selected. And I'm going to try and see what this looks like with this sort of concave bit and the ceiling on one smoothing group. See we'll see how that turns out. So I'll give that clear all smoothing groups for those. Give that smoothing group 2. Yeah, okay, that's not brilliant to be honest. So I'm just going to deselect these concave bits, making sure I don't deselect this ceiling strip. And give that no smoothing groups. Oh, actually we'll give it 1 smoothing group. So we'll give it a smoothing group of 1. We can do that since this smoothing group, which uses 1, and this smoothing group, which should be using 1, is being divided by this group of polygons, which is a smoothing group of 2. So we don't have to worry about any horrible smoothing blending. Okay. And as I was saying before, try and speed up your selections by dragging the selection box out. And for these really complex portions, you can go polygon by polygon. But try to make sure not to select anything you don't want selecting. So select the inside, the other side of the wall, I mean, of the wall. Okay, make sure I've just selected what I wanted. Yep. Oh, and we can select the ceiling as well. Group of 1 also. Cool trick which you can use. I'd say I wanted to drag a few selection boxes over here, but I can't because I have geometry in the way, and I'd have to alt click and deselect certain portions. If I was just being really messy, really lazy, what you can do is, since the walled portions and the ceiling portions are in a smoothing group of 1, and we're happy with that, we can actually select you can actually select the polygons in your mesh which have smoothing groups on them. So I'm going to select everything in my mesh here which uses a smoothing group of 1, hit OK, that's going to select that, and then I can go to visibility, hide selection, and then I'm free to be as messy as I want with this selection up here, because I'm not worried, there's no other geometry in the way, because I've hidden that geometry fairly quickly by simply selecting it by its smoothing group rather than selecting it individually polygon by polygon. So that's a handy trick to know and understand. So smoothing group of 2 for you guys, and that will be you guys done. This kind of needs a new smoothing group. Yeah, why not? Smoothing group of 1, check how that looks. Pretty decent. Give this top portion smoothing group of 2. Give this, no, I won't give that a smoothing group. Give this portion smoothing group of 1. Actually, I don't think there should be smoothing groups on this part. We'll leave that devoid of any smoothing groups. Or should we? Kind of looks a little odd. No, we'll give it smoothing groups. So smoothing group of 2 for you. Give it smoothing groups there. Smoothing group of 2. No, 1 for there. And smoothing group of 1 for here too. Smoothing group of 2. There we go. Right, and right, I'm going to leave that as it is now. I'm going to go to visibility, unhide all, and now I need to sort the smoothing groups out for the cliffs and everything else, and I'll tackle that in. Now I'll do it in this tutorial. What I'll do though is select by smoothing groups again. So select everything with smoothing group of 1. Go to visibility, hide selected. Select by smoothing group. Select everything with smoothing group of 2. Go to visibility, hide selected, and now I'm just left with making sure I'm not in double back-facing mode and getting rid of everything else here, which isn't your landscape. So drag a selection box there. You can be as messy as you want, just so long as you get all of these inorganic shapes out of the way. Lovely, 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 lovely. Okay, good. Let's do this aerial structure. Hide selected. Just just checking to make sure I don't have anything unselected, which I don't mean for it to be. Okay. And get those portions up here. That bit, oops, this part, and that part, and hide that too. And lastly, we're left with this portion. Oops, no. Oops. There we go, and hide that. So now we're left with everything else, which is really only going to be using 2 different smoothing groups. I know that for a fact, since all of these sections we did before used one smoothing group here, a different smoothing group there, and then the same smoothing group here. And that's pretty much the case for everything around here, which we have left. Except, of course, for this, which should be hidden. Not sure why it wasn't. Alright, so I'm going to select everything that we have here now and give it smoothing group of 32. Now, why am I using that number? Because I know that I have not used a smoothing group of 32 or 31 in my mesh so far. And now I'm going to go and manually and very quickly, or as quickly as I can, set everything that I don't want on 32 on 31, and that will be the end of this tutorial, and we can focus on our skybox and a few other miscellaneous things. I should point out that the workflow that I'm using is a little bit odd in the sense that after we have done our smoothing groups, I know that I'm not going to be making any more visual edits. So I'm not going to be adding or taking away any additional geometry. And that is really because this is a tutorial. If I was making this map and if I had the creation of this map in mind, that I would with the creation of the map with the creation of this map in mind, that I'd be releasing this to the general public, then I would put a lot more effort than I already have been in what you've seen me do in this tutorial. So it'd probably take a lot longer, and that's only because I'm a little bit pedantic about these things. So let's set that to smooth 32. So that's 31. Ooh. Right, let's just set that to 32. There we go. That was a bit silly of me. I apologize if this seems boring. I really am tempted to skip this boring part, but I know that if I was watching this tutorial and I was learning how to do all this stuff, I wouldn't really want the person making this tutorial to skip any parts, so I'm not going to. Oops. Okay, yeah. Again, don't forget that, having your edges visible can really fool what you think you have selected. So always toggle edged and unedged and edged faces, just so you know what you have selected. Oops. Okay, and I've got one portion left over here, and then we can call it quits. If you want to refine how far you're zooming in and zooming out, and you're finding the middle mouse wheel either a little bit too slow or a little bit too fast or too uncontrollable, you can hold Control Alt, hold your middle mouse wheel down at the same time, and then push your mouse forward to get kind of this sort of more, not really sure how to describe it actually, more control, I guess, over this the amount of the amount of zoom that you're using, whereas the middle mouse wheel is a little bit more staticky in the sense that it's zooming in on controlled increments. Rather, this feels like much more smoother. Alright, so with all those portions selected, I'm going to select them, set them to a smoothing group of 31. Do a last minute. Oh, I forgot about these. And you know what? These look awful, and I don't think smoothing's really going to help them that much, so I'm just going to set a mesh smooth over there. Yeah. Let's do this properly. See what. Oh no, mesh smooth doesn't really help there, does it? No. I thought that it would have done so, but it doesn't. Oh well. So much for that plan. Alright, since I'm working with quads here, I'm using a combination of control click and control shift. Or shift clicking, sorry. And it's serving me okay so far, with the exception of a few of these misdemeanors. But yeah, that's fine. So set that to smoothing group of 31 as well. Sometimes when you get something like that, that's really a geometry error rather than a smoothing error. That's because there's too much tension. That triangle is way too tight. So I'm going to push this vert around, space it out, and you'll notice that that's pretty much disappeared. Well, we also have the fact that it's too high. So push that down. Yeah. That way. It should look a little bit better now. Oops. Oh, come on. I think the problem is that I'm selecting stuff, yeah, over there. Right, deselect that, deselect that, deselect that. New smoothing group of 31. And to help this portion out here, you can actually cut in geometry. That helps as well. What I mean by that is, if I cut across here, over to there, then I have a few extra vertices to play with. And I really didn't notice how steep this was. Like here, for example. If I cut around like so, I now have a little bit more control over the steepness and the angle of these faces. I'll push that down also. Right. I think that is enough. I'm going to do quick once over. Everything should be sorted out there now, I think. If there are any irregularities, then I'll probably take care of them myself off camera and then show you what I did on camera in the next tutorial, but everything looks fine to me. Alright, so with that said, let's select our mesh, get into polygon mode or element mode, go to visibility, unhide all, and now we have everything attached into our map. After this, we're going to apply a few test UVs and a skybox, obviously, and get this in game to see how it looks. Alright, so don't forget to save, and I will see you in part 15.